Hello there, and welcome to the 11th video in my Jedi 101 series, where we will be reading from my book, Your First Step into a Larger World, an Introduction to Walking the Jedi Path. We're now on Chapter 10, the last chapter of the book, but not the last video in this series. If this is the first video you're watching, welcome. Please see the playlist, my Jedi 101, Your First Step playlist, to get the remainder of the series. So, let's dive right into it. Chapter 10. Live in your own temple. Be your own master. The fantasy of finding a remote Jedi temple, climbing its steps, and finding our master at the top waiting for us is a potent one. Many of us long for a place where we can live as a Jedi among other Jedi and be mentored by someone wise who has walked the path before us. The idea of a thriving local community of Jedi living and working together and training one another is appealing. However, in the world we live in, the Jedi community is more mundane. It is there, certainly, but for most of us, it is spread out throughout the world, and we are very fortunate if we have another Jedi within driving distance from us. The idea of a dedicated place to study the Jedi Path has quite the pull. Perhaps someday there will be such a place. There may be several places. But right now, the idea of a real-life Jedi temple exists in the realm of dreams. As I said in Chapter 4, there comes a time when we stop waiting for all the planets to align, and we take action in less than ideal situations. This, too, can apply to the idea of a Jedi temple. We cannot wait for the Jedi community to grow in scope and to have the resources to build a devoted Jedi temple. So in the meantime, allow wherever you are to act as your personal Jedi temple. I live in a nice home, but it is a house, not a church. However, if you were to come to my door seeking a Jedi, here I am. If you want to learn about the Jedi Path, I would be more than willing to teach you, right where I find myself, in my home, or in some location we have used for training. I have led sessions where we train in a public park, for example, doing a little bit of martial arts, sword work, meditation, and philosophical discussion. Referring to my home as a Jedi temple is not simply because it is a place where I want to teach. No. Even more importantly, my home is my Jedi temple because it is where I learn. We all start out as learners, and even if we are recognized as knights or masters, we must always cultivate the attitude of a learner. It is as a learner that we must also be our own master. While I encourage seeking out mentors, I think it is better to have had no teacher at all than to have had a bad teacher. Learning as a Jedi allows us to be self-starters. We seek out knowledge, we study with the practice of self-discipline, and we use the Force. We do not need someone else to do these things, and we must become self-reliant and do these things on our own. In short, we are responsible for our training instead of relying on the authority of another. If we have a mentor or master, we should engage with them with the understanding that they are not an authority over us and our training, but rather a guide. If we do have a master, It is important to recognize what a master is and what a master is not. All Jedi, even our masters, are fallible. That is human. No person is all-knowing, and a good teacher will lead you to find the answers you seek within yourself, instead of just handing them to you. Remember, easy efforts yield small rewards. Rather, we seek out mentors and masters for their experience and their ability to transmit this experience to others. A teacher is not so much an authority on the Jedi path, but instead someone who has walked it before you, someone who knows the way and can guide you to finding your own way upon the path. We can often think that a path has been set before us by some external source of wisdom, a journey and destination that we have been guided to or have discovered by the footsteps of those that have gone before us. But these are illusions. The choice to take that first step is entirely our own. The journey may have been traveled by those before us, but our experiences make the path are entirely of our own, determined not just by the sights and sounds we pass, but rather the landscape within our mind. Our internal landscape is shaped by our experience and thoughts, which by their very nature are deeply personal. While others may have had similar journeys and insights, each mind is unique, shaped by the environments we have experienced and the singular place and time that we have occupied. With this understanding of the uniqueness of our journey, we recognize that our path is something we are responsible for making. It is ours, and while there may be distractions, no one can take our path from us. While all paths are our own, not all of them are solitary. There will be times that others will walk with us. They will be our companions and confidants, and friends on our journey, as we fill those roles for them. And while the meeting of two or more souls can be merry, there will always come a point where there must be a parting, and hopefully that can be merry as well. People cannot join us on our paths forever, for we all have our own direction we need to go. It is very easy to find yourself walking another person's path. A path is made up of... Pardon me. Sorry about that. My puppy Juan needs attention sometime. She's a good guard doggy. Let's pick up where we left off. My apologies. A path is made up of the choices set before us. It is rarely as clear as a fork in the road, but rather a meandering labyrinth with many gates and destinations unseen from the threshold. The direction we go should ideally be our choice, and it would be a mistake to allow another to choose for us. Sometimes we give up our agency, allowing another to dictate where we will go. However, when we do so, we are no longer walking our own path, but rather allowing another to drive us, yoked to whatever vehicle they are driving. This is quite different than being led by a guide who has gone before us, and at times it will take discernment to know the difference between the two. It can be a good thing to take the guidance of those that have gone before us, and they can be an example, and they may warn us of pitfalls ahead of us. However, when being guided, our steps are still our own. The destination, the result of our choices. Whether walking on familiar, well-trodden paths or venturing into the wilderness of unexplored territory, when we choose where we go, we become responsible for our choices. The mistakes we make will be our own, but then so will our victories. The choice of the path we walk is up to us. Will we be a Jedi And if so, what kind of Jedi will we be? We don't take that first step knowing what the destination will be or what awaits us on the journey. But it's important to set out in a direction, to have goals, and to have the determination to meet those goals. No one starts out knowing all there is to be a Jedi. Even those that have been walking this path for decades are discovering new things. They are growing and continuing to learn and make themselves better so that the world can be a better place. But we all started with that first step. For me, it was writing an essay and posting it online to test it against public opinion. For you, it may be reading a website or reading a book, maybe this book. It all boils down to a choice. The path of the Jedi is not an easy one. It will take hard work, determination, and a willingness to be completely honest with yourself. We will examine ourselves and find our shortcomings so that they may be addressed. We will exercise our bodies, becoming stronger, more flexible, and more healthy. We will exercise our minds, seeking good knowledge and learning to discern quality information from garbage. If we learn to apply this knowledge and cultivate foresight, we may even end up with some wisdom. Until we take that first step, all things exist in the realm of possibility. Once we enter that larger world, some of these possibilities fade away. But more important, others become manifest and become our reality. There are Jedi out in the world right now, and you can be one of us. All it takes is that first step. So, this concludes the main text of my book, my Jedi 101 book. I hope those of you who have been following along get some benefit from this. It was really, I put my heart into this, and I just want there to be quality Jedi in the world. And I wrote this book in the hopes that some of you would take that first step and get off on a good footing. There's really not too much to add to this chapter these years after I've written it. I think this is the most important chapter of the book, and it ties it all up. We are responsible for our own training. No one can do that for us. No one can walk the path for us. It's up to us to be the Jedi we are determined to be. My own personal experience, I've definitely had people that have helped me along my path. The offline community of California Jedi being the primary source of offline help. I recommend offline training to everyone that is available to. If there's not an offline training group near you, well then, I hope you start one. Offline training has been a great benefit to me. But if online training is all that is available to you, it is better than nothing. There are lots of ways to train. There are academy systems. For academy systems, I recommend Jedi Living, run by Opie McLeod. There's a new group, the Jedi Conclave. I haven't gotten too much in their material, but I know they're run by good people. And they're determined to not allow toxicity to take root in their community, which is very important. And the next project, the next Jedi, well, one of many, one of the next Jedi projects I'm going to work on is addressing toxicity in the Jedi community. So look for that. So I'm just going to leave you with this. As I record this, it is May the 1st, 2020. We're still in the midst of a global pandemic. And in a spiritual tradition I belong to, this is the beginning of summer, where deals are brokered, where contracts are made, and the fighting starts again. So diplomacy is always preferable to fighting. But when there's no other choice but to fight we will. So I've gone a little bit into the weeds. So before any more, I'm just going to say, may the Force guide and protect you always.